Knox County Commissioners tonight voted to tell the law director to drop a lawsuit by Knox County against several former sheriff's deputies over their pensions. Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs called a special meeting tonight for that vote. Earlier this year, Knox County Law Director Bud Armstrong filed that suit against 6 retired Knox County deputies, a current deputy, and the pension board. Mayor Jacobs wants to settle that lawsuit. Commission voted 7-1 in favor of settling. The lawsuit is still being considered by a Knox County chancellor. He will hear it Monday. Mayor Jacobs says the suit has already cost taxpayers more than $600,000. Here to talk more about it is Hugh Nystrom from Knox County Commission District 4. You see it on your screen there, parts of West Knoxville, the Bearden area, also into campus. Commissioner, good to have you. Yep. You were one of those who said, let's settle. Why?
Well, first of all, thank you. I think when we scheduled this time together, we had no idea that this was going to be on the docket, so the timing works out great. This has been in front of the pension board for over a year, and the pension board, all the employee reps, the commissioners who have been appointed to that board under the advice of our legal counsel have been doing their best to try and make right decisions on this particular lawsuit and coming to terms with this salary versus compensation. So I think what that finally came to a head is with the lawsuit itself. A lot of us wanted to bring this to an end. We knew that based on the advice of the council of the pension board that there was definitely a case for this to be closed. Me personally, I was really worried about an endless series of lawsuits that could result of this. I was worried that if we had resolved it at the pension board, it had just made this change as the law department had directed us to, that we would then just see additional lawsuits that would come out of that, folks who had been impacted by it. And now as we're getting close to closure, that could happen. A class has already been established, so ultimately, after talking to the pension board lawyers, I was just worried about additional lawsuits that could go on and on and on, and that's where most of the commissioners came down on this as well.
Well, we'll know more on Monday. Yeah. Let's move to another big topic of yours, and that is, do you expand the jail? The sheriff wants to spend upwards of $40 million to expand it. Do you think that will happen, and is it necessary?
Well, a couple of things you've got to look at. Are our jails crowded? Yes, they are. And the sheriff has recently hosted members of the county commission to take a tour of the facility to see where they've got some folks sleeping on mini cots, literally on the floor. Because of the opiate epidemic, we've seen a lot more folks come into the jail that we hadn't anticipated. There's more women out there. There's completely different setups where you've got different classes of prisoners who have been put in areas together. So is it overcrowded? Yes. But do we know for sure right now that expanding it is going to have to happen right now? Well, we're going to have to research that. You can't just jump into spending $40 million to expand it unless you've looked at all the alternatives and all the things that we could do to reduce overcrowding.
You made the point that some of those prisoners may be there just because they can't pay court fees. Yeah,
everybody, right before we came on the air, I told you, John, I said, we do have an awful lot of folks who are in jail out there right now just because they couldn't make bail. And is that right? I don't think so. I mean, especially if finding an alternative way to watch those folks is putting us in a position where we might have to spend millions of dollars. So I think to give it due diligence, yes, we need to look at the cost and pros and cons of building, but we also need to look at all these other things that have caused the jail overcrowding problem. And it's some of the community issues we're already talking about right now. We know it's opiates, it's dope, and that has had a dramatic impact on this, and it's costing us real money.
Hugh Nystrom, we've got to run. We'll have you back to talk more about District 4 and some of the issues your constituents are knocking on your door about, but we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be your guest.
Absolutely.